Welcome back. In this lesson, we are going to learn about Databricks SQL or Databricks SQL. Databricks SQL provides general compute resources for SQL queries, visualizations, and dashboards that are executed against the tables in the lakehouse. Within Databricks SQL, these queries, visualizations, and dashboards are developed and executed using SQL Editor. Before moving to the SQL editor, I will go to the SQL warehouse so that I can start my cluster. I have configured my cluster to 2x small size. This was the cluster that was by default provided by the Databricks. A SQL warehouse. A SQL warehouse is a compute resource that lets you run SQL commands on data objects within Databricks SQL. Compute resources are infrastructure resources that provide processing capabilities in cloud. To help you get started quickly, Databricks creates a small SQL warehouse called Starter Warehouse automatically. You can edit or delete this SQL warehouse. I have started this, and note that you might not be able to start this SQL warehouse if you are on the trial version of Azure, because that has a limit of 3 spot instances. So you might have to request Azure support to increase that spot vCPUs to a minimum of 16. Let me go to the SQL editor. Here I am going to write queries against a sample dataset, which is New York taxi table. So let me start writing my first query. I will say select a star from this table, and this query will run on my starter warehouse. Here is the result of the query. I can even click here, provide a name to this query, and can save it. Similarly, let us create another query. I will click on this plus symbol, create new query. I can create CTs, which is common table expressions, views, or even functions in the SQL editor. So my second query is over the same table. I am calculating trips, the taxi trips by date. Select date. I am taking the typecasting, the date time stamped to get only the date part as pickup date, and I am counting the number of taxi trips and ordering by ascending order. I will rename this query as Databricks by SQL trips by date. I will run this query and save as well. Here is my output. I will create one more query. In this query, I am going to just take the total number of trips or the total records from this table. Let me execute this query. And here is my result. I will save this query as well. Query has been saved. Let me go back to the trips by date, and if you note here, I can click on the plus symbol here and click and generate a visualization. Let me generate a visualization here. So this is the default visualization that has been provided by Databricks. I can even go and change the visualization type. For example, I can change this from line to bar. I will leave this as a line chart. We'll rename this visualization and save it. The visualization has been saved. Next, I will now go to the dashboards. To create a new one, I will click on create dashboard and will give a name to my dashboard. So let us give the name as NYC taxi trips and click save. I can now add visualizations to the dashboard. These are the 3 SQL queries that we created. Let me start by using total trips. I can select the visualization if that was already created, or I can create a new visualization. This is the title of the visualization. I will say create visualization. the visualization has been created. Let me select the text type for this visualization. I will click on save. The visualization has been created. Next, let me add one more visualization here. Let me select the NYC taxi trips and we'll create a new visualization. This time let me choose the word count by, let's say, pickup zip codes. So I want to see which was the primary zip code for the taxi pickups. So I can see 10003 was the main pickup points. The smaller the number, the smaller the number of pickups. Let me add another dashboard, another visualization. So trips by date. If remember, we created one line chart. I can select the existing chart, trips by date, and say add to visualization. I can click on done editing and the dashboard can be saved. I can even schedule this to be able to send to the people if we want to. Then I can share this dashboard to other people so that they can come here and view or even edit it. That was about the SQL editor and dashboards. Next, I can even create alerts on a query. I will click on create alert. Here is my alert name. Then I can select a query, total trips, and I can say total trips, and it only actually returns one record is greater than, let's say, 50k, and I want a notification to be sent once if this value crosses 50k. I will click on save and I can add the destinations on the alert. I will disable this for now. The next is the query history. I can go and see what all queries were executed on my cluster. By user I can filter it, or the number of days on which data warehouse it was ran, for duration, status, or the query statement type. The last thing is the queries tab. So we can see these queries might get moved to the workflows tab and we might not see this in future. So these SQL queries which have been saved, which we created, are now accessible through the workspace tab as well. I can go into workspace and can see my queries here, or even I can add a query or a dashboard from here. If I add a query, it will take me to the SQL editor. That's all for this video. Thank you.